Everyone. Right, welcome to 10 AM at Saturday at Minamicon. Basically this panel is about a couple of sewing techniques and things which you don't hear about that often. It was mainly stuff that I used while making this costume, which is sort of a Chinese style thing from Dynasty Warriors, and you can see there's obviously a lot of crap going on with it. And a lot of things like you've got silk painting there, there's a bunch of tutorials online that you can look at. But things like this type of applique here and all of this stuff down the front, it's sort of no, you just right? Printers, right? Because basically you see this big design all down the front. That is actually done with cast spray paint and a stencil. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. Main thing I'm talking about today is this stuff, freezer paper. You use it to wrap up meat to go in your freezer, basically. But it is amazing. I cut a bit off. Now I'm going to make all of my things today. I'm going to make in an M shape because it's Minami, and it's got curves and it's got like underneath bits, so it's relatively hard thing to create with sewing. So if I draw myself a nice M to cut out. Freezer paper, you can actually cut it to A4 size and put it through a printer. So you can actually, I printed a design on paper and I used a craft knife. Sorry, it's twisting its cable. Come on. Get more space, there we go. Sorry, this is fine at home, you've got like a perfect setup to really go. So,
here's the audience.
There we go. Oh shit.
It was breakfast.
Right. Okay.
Yes, you go grab chairs and sit down.
Sit down right near the front. It's a bit of a love-in because physical demos.
Welcome to my arena.
And there is more reach as camera. You can push forward if you want.
Yeah.
Keep going.
We actually just planned this so we get a shot of the back of your head.
Okay.
No, the lovely gentleman in the panda shirt is in the shot, but no one else is.
That's it.
Just to recap, this is a panel about some of the weird ways I added designs to this costume. Because often with cosplay, you just sort of like, I need to put a thing on a thing. Like, oh, there's this really intricate design or a crest or something on it, and you look at it and go, all I can do is hand paint it or something. But you don't have to. Well, the first thing I'm covering is how I did this big thing down the front, which anyone who's talked to me about, I proudly say that this is actually Nissan Blue cast spray paint, and talking about how we make that. So actually, it's a bit heavy, but if I pass that around so people can see, just take the thing off. It's got flaps and bits everywhere.
It's fun to put on.
Yeah, that's what she said. It's all right actually, because I can wear like a pair of black jeans and a shirt underneath it, and then you just sort of kick it on. It's great. But now, the back of this is actually more cast spray paint. This is gold after it's been overlaid over thing. And you can feel there's a bit of crispness to the surface, but not bad enough so it would like flake when you're sort of wearing things. Yes, right, let's show you how this works. So, it's all done with something called freezer paper, which is what you use to wrap meat up to go in the freezer. Just eBay freezer paper and you'll find some. And basically you make a stencil, me draw a line good, cutting out well. Right, so we have a bit of freezer paper with an end cut out in the middle. Now, the great thing with using stuff like cast spray paint is, one, it doesn't bleed. Like even on really delicate fabrics and whatnot, it it doesn't sort of, you know, when you put paint onto a bit of fabric and it just goes blah all over it. Car spray paint doesn't. This is some linen, which I'm using for something later on, but you can do it on any kind of synthetic fabric. It doesn't matter whatsoever. So.
You can do it on leathers as well.
Yeah.
Leather stencils beautifully.
But the other thing is freezer paper, you can use it on leatherette, you can use it on all this sort of things that normally if you put an iron near it, it just looks at it and just goes, and just sort of melts and all this. You can see, basically it's not too firmly on, but it's enough that it's made it sort of quite stiff. Now what you can either do is you can stencil with like acrylic paint. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to this corner and open up a window and spray on it.
That changed.
Yes, that has changed. Thank you, Kristen. I'll move my nice coat. And that door, hope it's not alarmed.
Get it all in black stains.
Yeah, I'm a bit like, I am wearing a white suit today. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is matte super plastic coat. The other thing you can do is if you're working with spray paints and things like that, you can do gradients and whatnot.
Don't get it all over your lovely clothes. I'm
So I got
scared
that.
now.
Right. Does anyone wearing black want to take the hit for me? Right.
That's plastic.
Yeah. And the spray thing is broken.
Tell you what, Tab.
Have you got some other plastic coats?
Have you got something on you? I do actually have some acrylic paint.
Let's say do the spray.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And now this is Zay spraying for you.
That's not plastic coat, that's army paint, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, now we leave that to dry and we'll look at it again at the end of the
Pretend
panel
it was plastic.
and find out if it was shit or not.
Is that the whole of the panel now then?
Yeah,
Wait for the paint.
the main thing is actually you don't spray it like you would do regular stuff, so that may not actually work. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jay. You need to be as far away as possible so it just kind of dusts the surface. You don't want to let it
That's
get...
super fine anyway.
We'll see how it goes. You know?
It's miniature paint, so the idea is it puts on like the thinnest veneer of paint
Yeah, it's just
physically possible.
sort of if it gets wet, it can bleed.
Gotcha.
You want to keep it as
It
dry as
dries
possible.
almost instantly as well.
Okay, we'll
so
find
see how it
out.
goes. We'll find out. Right, so let that dry. Obviously, you can do that with acrylic paint. You can use a hairdryer to do it. It's really good for tiny little details on costumes. The other one is acrylic paint is actually quite stretchy. If you ever need to do a design which is like screen printing or something like that, just make a stencil with your freezer paper, iron it onto the t-shirt or whatever, and just dab with acrylic paint. The main thing is, unlike painting on, you'll get really crisp edges, which is good. And acrylic paint, one good thing about it, it's got a bit of a stretch to it, so it'll last a bit longer, because you can get sort of iron-on printer transfers and things like that. Right, now the next challenge is on this belt, the middle bit of fabric, I printed myself on a home printer. It is cotton, and basically I figured out how to, it's a bit of a techie bit, I figured out on my printer how to set it up for roll printing, as in once you had something of a certain width, it would just sort of keep printing. And I printed this off, so if I send that round,
Just with normal ink?
yeah, just with normal ink. I mean, it's a big printer, and I've got like a ink system to the side, but that's just because it makes it cheaper. Right, so assuming, let's test if the printer is working. Right. Oh, I broke it already. When you're printing, some things to keep in mind. You want it not to touch the edges of the printer. So keep something in the centre or with at least a width of about 1 centimetre all around the edge. Because if you do to the edge printing, because you've got fabric going through there, there's a possibility of the edges fraying, and then it gets, if you've ever had paper jams, a fabric jam is the worst fucking thing that can happen to your printer. When you're setting up, use just photo printing. If you have something like text printing, the printer will try and take it far too fast. My printer sort of slows down a bit the higher quality it goes, which is better. So I'm just going to do a basic test to see if it will actually print today. Go. Come on, babe. You can do it. I believe in you. Basically, I'm printing off a giant M. Obviously, you can make anything as detailed as you want. Depends if I've got to set it up for the right thing, and cables are all plugged in. Almost time to replace cartridges. I'm good. Thank you. What's making noises? Right, while it's attempting to actually print a piece of paper, you can see that's set up for photo printing, so it's going down a little bit slower. And it's printed a blank sheet of paper. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it just printed it in white?
No. My brain just went, what? Sorry. Let me try your standard. And now it's time to clean my print heads. And then you get to experience the hard part of sort of like, oh, I made this thing, yeah, but it took me fucking 2 days worth of like loading up into the printer properly and having to go and shit. To be honest, I was going to print sort of like the rest of the waste fabric, but there was such a fail rate of like my printer going, actually, you know what, I've run out of ink now, so I'm just going to, yeah, no, I'm almost there again, so fuck you.
Did you have to put anything on the fabric after you printed it to make sure that it didn't bleed or anything?
It was alright, obviously that's sort of like an issue. You can buy something which you soak the fabric in beforehand, which is basically if you, I think I found my thing through eBay, if you search for sort of inkjet fabric printing, you can buy something that you wash it in first, which makes it ink fast. So it's in wash fast actually, which is, you know, fucking amazing. And yeah, it's worked out really well. I mean, one thing I tend to do with anything like this is after it's done, get like a baby wipe and wipe it over the top just to get any sort of loose ink. And just, if you're wearing something white, don't smear yourself on it. It's probably an idea. Sorry, sort of, you know when it takes like 5 different things of another thing to get to like how to actually do cleaning stuff on your printer. There we go. Right, now it's going to make a lot of noise while I make a bit of paper to attempt to go through it. Right. So, more freezer paper. I'm going to cut out the rough. You good? Yes. Do it. Thank you. Go. Right. First point, making a fair bit bigger than A4, because after I iron it on, I want to cut it down to be as exactly like an A4 sheet of paper as possible. If you don't have an iron and you're a cosplayer, what's wrong with you? One thing I learned in these past couple of years, actually, about how to make my costumes look better, the best answer is just iron them, for the love of crap. Just, it's a bit excessive, but one of the things I've heard is every seam that you sew you should iron, and your stuff will instantly look just beautiful, you know? Especially like, I've been doing sort of a lot of men's tailoring and things like that in the past couple of years. And yeah, it's just pressing which makes it look better.
Does it matter which way you iron the freezer paper on? So I noticed that there's a...
There is, if I send a scrap round, there is sort of like a plasticky side and like a duller side. Plasticky side is where you want it to have ironed down. I'll pass that round. and people on that side. There you go.
How did you find out about freezer paper?
Trial and error, you were just trying different papers?
I found out about freezer paper because I was wanted to know how to sew lycra better. Because, for example, if you have a big design on the front of a superhero costume or things like that, like say your traditional Superman S, if you ever actually tried pinning lycra together and sewing around, it's just evil. But what you do is you get a big bit of freezer paper, iron it onto your thing, cut out, you know, your Superman S, and then you get another bit of freezer paper, iron it onto the thing you're going onto. The freezer paper glues it all together, so you don't even have to pin it, and then you put a big bit of paper through your sewing machine. You put it on like chain stitch, and what you do at the end is rip it all off, and you know your paper. And it's wonderful. Finish. Print nozzle check pattern. Right, cut out my bit of paper. This is as exact as you can possibly do it, because otherwise your printer will fucking hate you. Good, okay, right, it's doing it, it's doing it. Yes, we have colour and fucking tastic, right. Let's attempt to print the first thing. I feel like I should give my printer a name, actually. You know, it's giving something to yell at it. Any thoughts? No, Sebastian. I mean, my sewing machine's called Sheila. Does anyone else name the gear? Yeah. Go on, what names have we got? Can I go around the room?
I have Steve and Barbara the glue guns. Actually, I'm on Barbara the third at the moment.
Oh, wow.
She keeps dying and being reincarnated as more glue guns.
Anyone else? What we got? I saw a nod there. What's...
I have a camera called Rinvera.
Rinver, nice. No
My
one
old
else?
camera's called Homie, that one's King Jack.
King Jack. Oh man.
My big yellow compressor's called the Beast.
The Beast, yeah. Yes. Okay.
It's called Omi, but mostly I call it You Dick.
Okay, so this is what we want to turn up on our fabric. My sewing machine my printer makes weird noises. Right. The main one is just you want one edge to be the straightest fucking thing you've ever cut in your life. Still, I haven't burnt myself on my iron yet, actually. What? I know, right? I mean, like sometimes I get like hot fingers, but I've done okay. I've got some glue gun scars though. Right. Okay. So I have cut it as well as I can cut it. The main reason you want to make it bigger is so you have a really crisp edge. You know? Because now it is time. Basically, so you've got freezer paper on this side, you've got fabric on this side, fabric side up.
Unless your printer prints
the other way. Whichever way your printer prints. And what I'm going to do is iron it a bit more. Generally, just leave it a little bit, you know? Just to make sure that it doesn't fray and sort of come up, and then you end up with like gums and bits of thing in your printer. Yes, good iron. Thank you.
The best way to screw up a printer is to get fibres into it.
Yeah. And the thing is, no one fixes printers anymore. Like, I had an issue with mine, but they're basically sold.
Consumable product now.
Yeah.
That's why when you go to somewhere like PC World and buy one, they don't give you the same type of warranty. They give you they offer you a consumable items warranty, which is a one shot and then it just replaces itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's actually worth taking.
Yeah, I lugged this. I had an issue with basically I had a paper jam and it just wasn't doing it. All I had to do in the end was actually just push the ink cartridges over as far as they would go to like reset them. But that was only calling up the help line.
Yeah.
Mine's a bit dubious because I've like rigged it with the ink system.
Yeah.
It means that all warranties
Yeah.
for properties. Make sure this comes out slowly. Come on, in. Right. This. Basically, I'm here to sort of snatch it away if it starts to go in wrong. And now you can see the fact that I did like roll printing on that. Why I was so fucking proud of it. Gee. Right. Okay. It's time. Print the M.
Are we having a drum roll?
Yeah. This laptop is made of tiny things, so the fact that I can actually connect it to a printer is like, holy crap. No, you don't want that. Let's take the rest of that. Let's try again. One thing I found out after buying this printer is apparently the feed on it is pretty awful. No. And now you have to iron it some more because it's come unstuck.
Watching the way that you're doing this,
Yeah.
there are some printers out there that do what's called a back feed.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Because that's what my printer's got. So basically, I could imagine doing this as a slightly modified version, and basically after you've done this part, sticky taping, because my printer can print pretty thick, but it can print mount board.
Yeah, if it can print.
Yeah, you can feed it through the back. So
yeah,
I mean, what you could do is you could do this exactly like Tab's doing it, and then not masking tape, double-sided sticky tape that onto a piece of mount board, and then feed it through. I imagine that might actually give it a little bit more.
I'm going to tell it it's printing on an envelope because then it's going to be thicker as well. See if that helps. So my thing's started to roll up, which is an issue. I can iron it some more. What you can also do is just buy t-shirt transfer paper, send that through your machine, iron it onto something, job fucking done. Come on, I believe in you. Some of those that might go awfully and I might break my printer, but we've got like 40 minutes, it's fine. See, I was going to like print some at home and be like, and here's one I did earlier, but I'm gonna be like, no, they have to know the pain.
Oh, do you want me to shut that door?
Yeah, you have to do it. Chilly. It's exciting.
Oh. Piece, did you print onto purple fabric or did you?
No, white fabric. Yeah. But obviously you can probably layer it up in the same way. There we go. Oh, they're two.
You printed two on the first bit.
Two on the first one.
Oh my god. Anyway, right. So what we've learned is that one of them came out shit and one of them came out alright. But
that was why you did two, wasn't it?
yeah, totally. As you can see here, basically, because I've used like a linen, because that was the only sort of non-synthetic fabric I had, that's the other one, has to be a cotton or a linen or something. What we've learned is, because I've never done it before, linen is bad, because it's quite fluffy and it's quite thick as well. So something like a cotton drill is a better thing to do with this, because what's happened there is bits of fluff caught up in the print head and smeared all over it. So things like cotton drill, something like that, gives much better quality results. Also, if you have something like a really thin silk, like some of whatever it is that costume uses sort of like a very thin silk, the stuff you do sort of silk painting and things with, yeah, you can just print on that and that'll probably take the printer much better. But what you do after you've done, put off, and then you have a bit of fabric with something actually printed on it. So you can just chuck that around. There we go. We've made a thing, guys. Right.
If you look online at these places that do custom printed stuff,
Yes,
This is
'cause-
essentially how they're doing it, except
Yeah.
they have one of the giant printers, just a giant inkjet printer.
Yeah, because you can get online fabric places which do this kind of stuff as well. If you've got like a certain fabric you definitely need. There's Spoon Flower, there's print-on-demand fabric, but
Yeah.
all of them are in the States, which is a bit of an awkward one.
But if you look at the width of most of the paper that the fabric that they print, it's never standard width fabric, is it, Tab?
No.
It's always quite narrow, because that's all they're doing. They're just feeding it through a giant industrial inkjet printer.
Some of it's alright, actually.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, I've gotten sort of very big stuff before.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Next thing I'm going to talk about is, I've never learnt the name for this, but I call it back applique. This was you see in a lot of sort of Chinese style costumes and things like that, they have sort of like these sort of twirls and things like that, and appliquing things on can be a nightmare doing that, because if I just send that round, the way it's on the front as well. The way it actually works is it's 2 bits of fabric sewn together, then flipped inside out, and then sewn down. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do it with another M, because latecomers for Minami. Right. What I'm going to do is cut out 2 bits of fabric. This will show you the basic technique you use for lycra stuff, actually. What I'm going to do is iron the design I want onto some fabric. If it will iron flat, that would be great. Yes, yes, I've ironed the thing. Right, success in life. Now I get a bigger bit of freezer paper over the top, and a second bit of fabric, which is slightly bigger than my previous one. This may not work because all of the fabric is white, but we'll see. Wand. I may not be able to see this. Normally what you can do is iron complete. Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to draw in big pen where I want to sew, so I can actually see it through the freezer paper. So it's slightly translucent, which makes things a lot easier. Right, there we go. This is quite a simple shape. Make it better. Okay. It's quite a simple shape, but this is a theory that works with big ones. So we've got the design with a thing. One more underneath, and that down. We can see the nice line through the paper, like that. I'll stick together, you bastard. Right, just leave it. Be fine. It's linen. Alright, now what we get is 2 bits of paper which are basically sandwiched perfectly together, so there's no pins whatsoever. Then I wander over to my machine and I sews it. Thread.
Helps, apparently. Shit, I was supposed to be taking photos of all this shit, wasn't I? So
Don't worry. So much shit.
I'm starting to wake up now.
Yeah, yeah. Who else hates the fact that they're here? I mean, right. This works great for stretch fabrics. If you're doing stretch fabrics, you want to use something called chain stitch, which basically does 2 stitches forward and 1 back. Straight stitch will do fine on this. And what we're doing. Just sewing around exactly as what we want the bit of fabric to look like. Obviously with bigger bits of paper, this can be a fucking nightmare to get through your machine. Right, so we have this sewn around. Now what we do is try not to rip the fabric. Bang, freezer paper comes off. Very much. And then inside comes off, and you'll probably get like some straggly bits. If you care, you can like pick them out either with nails or tweezers. If you're doing like a lycra thing on a costume, tweezers to get any sort of like little fluffy bits out. What you then have is, you know, 2 bits of fabric with just the perfect thing that you want on it. Then cut around the edges with scissors. I have a pair of pinking shears, which are great for doing the insides of curves. You know when you do the sort of snipping for the corners to get rid of excess fabric. Pinking shears just does it for you automatically. If I don't like actually cut into it. You know, avoid cutting the thing that you just sewed. That's great, if you can. Right, so now we have a shape which you can't get into whatsoever. Why should I use linen for like the most frail fabric under the sun? Right. Now here's a great thing. We actually, back in the day, we bought like a really cheap Naruto costume and it had one of the sort of swirls on the side. And we picked it off and realised this was the way they'd done it. And I was just like, that's really fucking clever. What you do is your thing, on the back that you're going to sew down, you just snip a hole in it so you can turn it inside out. And because that's sewn down onto the thing, you don't see it. Does anyone have like a paintbrush? I've got a paintbrush. And then you turn it inside out, prod it and poke it a bit. Tiny fingers help. It's getting there. Look, 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 it's got legs now. And what you get is like a perfect little rendition of what you just sewed, but just with no frayed edges. Then what I tend to do, actually, is I get the original bit of freezer paper where I made the design, and then I attempt to iron it to it to make it as exact as possible. Because obviously, you know, you warp and you don't want your M to go on sort of like that. So. This one isn't as sort of crisp and perfect as the other ways, but I've used it for like a Team Fortress thing, like a medic thing, like a cross, something like that, instead of like embroidery, or that's the wrong way up. It's hopefully not broken. One good thing that I invested in recently is, has anyone said the iron cleaner that you rub onto irons is so good, and my iron's so pretty. And you know when you're a bit like, oh, I don't want to like make this white costume because my iron will wreck it because it's got all the gum from cosplay's past. Right, so you can see you now have a bit of thing with a slit down the back, which this is really hot. Which is your M shape. It's got a little bit sort of difference, but not so much, so it's pretty exact. And now you can either pin that to your thing, or you can take some more freezer paper and iron it down onto whatever surface you want. Freezer paper is about £3 for a roll. That's great.
It was £3 for a roll.
Yeah. The thing is, people like appliques use it all the time. The actual freezer paper just says, also great for applique. That's great. Because what you can do, which I've had no success with, is you cut out your design in freezer paper, iron it onto the back of the thing you want, and then fold the fabric over onto it. Why would you even? Right, so we iron the bit that's going to go onto, which isn't really ironing. Come on, we can do this. Well, the people, they've waited so long. Right, freezer paper down, and then it holds it to the surface for me. If it would do it. Come on, I believe in you. I'm sorry this panel has been about, and here's how to have irons. But if you're a cosplayer, you should iron, alright? That's one improvement you make to costume. There we go. So we now have the M carefully kept under the fabric. See if you can actually see underneath there. It's easier if you have colours. Right. This is really hot. And the freezer paper just keeps it in place. You can't really rely on your feed dogs to pull the fabric through though. So you just kind of have to push it through yourself, to be honest. Has anyone ever used like an embroidery foot? Something like that, you can just run it through however you want. You notice my foot looks like a cheap little piece of tat. It's actually a Teflon foot, which is the most useful fucking thing you will ever buy as a cosplayer. It's a foot which is not made of metal, it's made of a plastic, but it means you can sew leatherette on the top and it doesn't stick to it. It is amazing. Is that a question or a talk? Do we? It's those little bits of kit. I remember buying one like ages back and never really using it. And then, I don't know, it's sort of a permanent thing on my machine now.
I bought it and I decided to
Yeah. Right, this must be maybe really wonky, for which I'm sorry. Usually take your time a little bit more when you're doing it yourself. The main thing is freezer paper just keeps everything really flat and beautiful. Gone off the edge, oh well. You get the idea. Right, now we rip the freezer paper off, some more. I'm going to attempt to get the middle bit on. Okay. Right. I'm like wrecking all the stitching I've done. That's one thing. You almost want to keep it as big as possible and rip away slowly as close to the edge like that, so it comes away like a stamp, you know, the edges of a stamp, and that will give you better results. I have like one long nail, which is for like playing ukulele, but it's really useful right now. You have no idea. Okay, almost there, almost there. You can almost show it to the world. Okay, this is very much something I've done on the spot. It's still got bits of thing stuck to it. That's the annoying thing, is you spend your life picking up bits of paper and then finding bits of paper around your house. So freezer paper isn't like the god of everything, but it's quite a useful little tool. Oh, that's well wonky. Ah well, I tried. Gold star. And there you go, you see you have an applique thing which has been put onto a bit of fabric which has no raw edges, and you don't have to sit there and zigzag for the rest of your life. I'll just pass that around so you can poke fun of it. Alright, now we're coming to the time where we find out if this has worked. Fucking A. There you go. Glass spray paint with freezer paper makes amazing stencils. We've got a bit of stretch to that. Yeah, actually, to be honest, for a cosplay, that would do you great. And that was probably better not touch it.
It'll be
yeah,
dry. It'll be bone dry.
You willing to lick it? Does anyone want to
Not
touch?
Hey, you have to do it again. My camera wasn't watching.
Oh. Would you put it in your mouth again? Look at him. He's ready.
What are you doing?
That's how confident I am.
Poisoning.
Yeah.
Is that
It's
Don't
got
do
a bit
that
of
one
my
at
phlegm
home.
on it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
Right,
people
okay.
might like that.
There you go. If people want to look at what that
Is that
looks
something
like.
with the army paint?
Enjoy.
Anyone wants to know that paint by what it actually is? It's Army Painter.
Get it from Games.
It's really, really good.
Not GW, it's an
Yeah, it's actually slightly better because I used to rave about Games Workshop spray paints. Screw everything else. Games Workshop's really overpriced, but their spray paints are really, really good. However, Army Painter's better. It's beautifully fine spray, and yeah, I can't rate it highly enough.
There you go. But there we go, guys. There are some
Dries like
ideas
that.
besides sort of like your general applique or just paint it on or something like that. How you can add some more designs to things. So they really make it hard for us nowadays. Jesus. Any questions on anything we talked about? Go forth and make. Go enjoy, guys. Thank you very much for watching.